So I have this very interesting dictionary. A friend of mine used to do it many years ago. Then she passed away, and then she inherited this gift. And what I do is ask a question or say a person's name. I close my eyes, I scan through the book, and my finger falls to a word.
Okay.
And when I read the word, it's always something fabulous for the event. So this morning I said, geez, I should pull a magic dictionary word for our work today and maybe going forward. And my finger landed on the word spill, S-P-I-L-L,
Hill.
spill. Cause to be scattered. No, sorry, that's not the one. Yeah. To cause or permit to run over or fall out of a vessel or other container. To cause to be scattered. To throw or overthrow. To flow over, fall out, be scattered. The act or state of overflowing, scattering. To fill up so much that the only thing to do now is to spill. And when we spill, not just water or anything, we feed what's around us, whether it's the grass or other souls.
I actually, with you explaining it just now, I got this idea that's very important for all of us in terms of letting go. Like the idea of spilling, like we don't really want to spill something. It implies a mess. It implies work of cleaning up afterwards, right? But getting so filled up, like you explained, and we get to choose how we fill it up and what it fills up with. And I always think of love. I want love to be completely within every cell of my body, and to that allow that to grow in such a way where I can't contain it anymore. And why should I contain it? Why should any of us contain it? Allow that to spill out and to pour out. There's something with regards to people thinking that they can make a big difference by working in the external space, because that's what our senses are constantly wrapped up in. What it is that we see, sense, feel, touch, taste, all those things, it's so immediate, so overwhelmingly present to us that we naturally think that we have to operate within that space to get so much done. But with what you said just now with the Magic Dictionary and that word spill in the definition, it's, I think, pointing inward, allowing us to see what are our thoughts right now with everything that's going on. Are we being more negative with how we're interpreting what it is that we hear and see? Or can we take those things and make it an opportunity for us to find really high vibration within us and allow that to spill out? If we do that, that's going to help people in a way much more so than working in the external, trying to do something that's getting in front of people, working through the systems that are in place. Sure, you can make a big difference that way, but it takes a lot of time. I think if we all make a conscious choice right now to fuel inwardly a real passion for love, forgiveness, openness, and letting that spill out, we can get a lot more done a lot faster. But it takes an awareness of that, and that there's even an opportunity for us to do that, like that would actually even work. It absolutely works. So yeah, spilling out, just a beautiful example of what we should all be doing right now. Don't hold on, let it go, let it spill out. Even if you're afraid that it might not be good for other people, it will be good, not only for you, for everyone else too.
Well, now that we're discussing it more, which is what the Magic Dictionary is about, when we do it in a group, and Aditi sat in on several of them, that everybody gives their interpretation of the word. After I'm done and I talk about what Spirit's continually saying,
Yeah.
everybody gives their interpretation. And just like you just did with it, it adds to the magic of the Magic Dictionary. I just made that up. Let's take that literally too now, because I just realized that for the last maybe 6 months, I've been spilling so much water, like on the floor in my car. And I have the stain on my seat from water on my car seat. And I keep saying, I know this is taking me somewhere. I know this spillage of water. think my friend Aditi, who I'm here with now, she also had a spillage the other day. I'm like, why do we keep spilling water? So you have to take what literally is happening in your life and take it to your spiritual life, to your soul, to who you truly are, and use it. It's not, oh, I'm only going to be spiritual when I'm sitting home meditating or talking to my friend. I need to take my spirituality, my path, my growth, my soul with me everywhere. Work, in the car, when I'm outside, when I'm in the store, and be conscious and clear about what we're spilling out to other people.
Definitely, absolutely. It's being conscious to what it is that we're contributing. It just takes a little bit of effort and working with it a lot. We have been talking about spirit a little bit, and I'm curious, your connection with spirit. Everyone has a different story with regards to this, and I think it might be really beneficial to hear. One, what you consider spirit to be. It doesn't have to be a hard definition, but just based on your connection with it. And when did it really happen for you? Like where you said, oh, this is, some people look at it, it's almost like you're being nagged. Like, hey, look over here, look over here. And it's always like, no, 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 I know what my life is and this is what I'm doing. And then spirit keeps going and going till eventually you're like, all right, fine. I give up. I'm working with you all the time now.
What I find very interesting is many years after I became official, when I came out and said I was a medium, I found out that as a child, I saw spirit. I had an imaginary friend, and I know a lot of people may resonate with this story. I had an imaginary friend, and I don't remember most of my childhood, and I've spoken to many people who are on a spiritual journey, and everybody is, but maybe more intense. And they all say, I don't remember much of my childhood. I grew up with 7 brothers and sisters in a very full household. And what I found out later, which was only a few years ago, from one of my sisters who I shared a bedroom with, is she said, Donna, you would talk and talk to this imaginary friend at night to a point where I had to tell you to shut up. It's time to go to sleep. And I said, well, that's interesting. She said, Donna, you would actually bring food to feed your imaginary friend. And I said, well, what happened? What did mom and dad do? And she said, well, it got to be annoying. And everybody just kept telling you to be quiet, and you didn't. You kept speaking to this imaginary friend. So grandma, my mom's mom, said to my mother, just ignore her. It'll go away. And in that moment, I know what I did, because she came back. My little imaginary friend came back a couple years after during a meditation. And I had shoved her down at that moment. And throughout my life then, I shoved her down, and I'll call her spirit. When I use the word spirit, I encompass everything: universe, source, angels, guides, everything. But I use the word spirit. Intuition, spirit, soul, spirit, everything spirit. So she came back, she was angry, and I had to do some work. So during my whole life, I shoved down spirit. I shoved down my soul, my true soul. Food, shopping, TV, alcohol, sex, whatever, I used everything to deny my path. Now I know now it was all meant to be, and that's what we're all here for, to come in as love, but forget that and have a lot of other experiences and then come back to love. So that's where I am now. When I started yoga and meditation back when I left my husband. So my daughter was 3 years old. My therapist was like, you should try yoga. And I'm like, okay. So I tried yoga. I practiced. I had a job, a nighttime job. I had a business that was at night. So I had all day. And I went to yoga every day, meditated every day. Then I started teaching. I went to Kripalu, the institute in Massachusetts, to get my teacher certificate. And there was a time I owned a yoga studio, and there was a time I was teaching a meditation. Again, I wasn't a medium. I was just pretty heavy into, what am I here for? I believed there was something better than myself. I just didn't know it, right? You got to believe it first, then you experience, and then you know it. Well, this experience made me know it. So after my yoga class, and with all my guides, I've got a lot of yogis that were my past lineage. So I knew something else was guiding me in yoga too, because I would say at the end, I have no idea where that came from, guys. I have no idea where I learned that or who I heard that from. I've only been teaching 6 months, so I don't know. I honestly had no idea what channeling meant, but I was saying I must have channeled that. And they would laugh. So I'm sitting on my yoga cushion. Everybody gets up after closing Shavasana, where you're resting, and they get up, and I put them through about a 3-minute meditation at the end. So what they tell you in yoga teacher training is never do the meditation with your students. Well, I broke that cardinal rule that day. So I sat there on my cushion and I said, everyone, close your eyes. And when I closed my eyes, I was shot up into the universe. Shot up into the universe. Now I'm sitting there in this space, this darkness, but with clouds, and I can still remember it. I'm feeling it now. I was on the clouds. I'm sitting on the clouds, sitting back. There's no one around me, but I'm just kind of, wow, this is cool. And I'm just kind of thinking, I'm not afraid, but DaKen, days went by, months went by, years went by, and I'm still sitting up there. And I'm in total, what I call now, I was in my soul. I was in the oneness. I was just sitting there by myself. All of a sudden, Donna said, how am I going to get back to my yoga studio? And in that moment, boom, I was smacked back down on my cushion. Because Donna came in, right? The mind came in.
Yeah, sure. Ego's back.
I opened my eyes with such a start, and I looked around at my class and I said, I'm so sorry. How long was I out? And they said, well, I don't know what you're talking about. You just said, close your eyes. There's no time, no such thing as time.
Yep.
It also made me very aware in the coming months and years that I need to find that space. I need to exist in that space, but also bring it here. And then eventually I'm in Virginia. It's 2010, 2011. I'd gone to this great medium to figure out my spirit guides. And I'm sitting in my bed and I'm watching, are you familiar with Abraham Hicks?
Yes, I am. Yeah.
I'm watching one of my first videos because my mom had always said, you should watch Esther Hicks. And I'm like, I just don't have time, Mom. I'm doing so much here. I just don't have the time. So I'm sitting in my bed and I'm watching a video. And all of a sudden, someone appears in my bed. And it's a man. And it's an older man. And he's dressed in a nice suit. He's got a nice tie, his glasses on. And I'm talking to him like he's there, DaKen. And in my head, I'm going, oh, great. Just my type. Unavailable. Another older, unavailable man. So we're laughing and I'm going, who are you? And he's saying, he's pointing to my computer screen and he's telling me, click the link right there. And I said, but who are you? And I'm talking to him like this. And he keeps, Donna, he's calling me by my name. Donna, click the link. So yeah, but I want to know who you are. And I was insistent. Who are you? Because you are obviously here in my bed with me in full human form. Not a spirit, in full human form. Like if I touched him, I would have felt him.
Yeah, you would have felt him, sure.
So he said again, click the link. So I turned back to my computer screen. I click the link, and there is a picture of Jerry and Esther Hicks. It was Jerry Hicks sitting beside me.
Wow.
I immediately got my mother on the phone. Hey, Mom, is Jerry Hicks dead? And she says, I don't know. You should find out, because I told her the story. So I immediately Googled it. He passed 4 months prior. That led me on a journey to here.
Wow. What an amazing experience to have. I think this is something that most people can't necessarily relate to. How did you keep your composure? Because you definitely already had a few experiences that were, otherworldly and would make you question, what's actually happening in this world, what's real, what isn't real. And then something like this where you see Hicks in front of you. Like, how did you stay calm as a result of that?
Great question. At the moment, I was very calm because it was happening. To me, it was happening. I thought nothing of it. It was happening. And he's never appeared like that before. A couple other guys have, but he has never. He needed to get my attention. If he had appeared in non-physical form, either in my head or as a apparition of some sort, I probably wouldn't have believed it. I probably would have poo-pooed it away. But because he was in physical form, that caused me to say, what the?
Yeah, exactly.
So I didn't tell anyone because I thought, of course, they would think I was a little crazy. I think I told my cousin who I was living with at the time, and she had come to all the other sessions with me before. So she knew we had guides. So she was on that wavelength with me. She said, we need to find you a medium here. So I found a really great medium to do a reading with in Virginia, Northern, but I had to wait. This was March. I had to wait till July.
Okay.
That was almost 4 months. During that time, I had done some meditating, and Jerry had shown up in a couple different ways, but I had said, wait a minute, not ready for that yet, because I knew nothing about that form of channeling. So I finally get in front of this other medium. I don't say anything. He knows nothing about me, and he sits down, and the first thing he says is, there's a Jerry here. And I just went back in my chair, big sigh of relief. Great, tell me what he wants.
So you have an imaginary friend, which I think a lot of people do growing up, and how they have their parents or friends or teachers that kind of like, that's, that's fine, but it's silliness. It's not really real. They're taught to kind of question that there's any validity to it. And, from my experience, definitely, I mean, I had angels that were speaking to me. I can remember when I was 3, 4 years old, and that was completely like pushed away from me. I allowed it to happen, but I was told like, all right, that's okay. But, the older you get, like, you got to let that stuff go. I was like, all right, I guess, but this is real. They're telling me that I know how to fly. Angels were telling me I know how to fly. And I was like, oh, okay. I didn't know how to do it. But they're like, come on, let's go. Then you have this incredible, I would call this an awakening, maybe, with regards to you teaching a yoga class and going so far out of body, you're basically in the universe and you're there for a tremendous amount of time, or what we would consider to be time, years worth of time. And then when you come back, you find out that it was only a second or two. And that's something that I think fewer people experience, but man, does that not set you on a whole new path? I would imagine it would have to. Once you connect on that level, it's like you can't look back. There's something that happened there that is so intense, and like you said, there's no time. It's a fabrication. Everything is already complete. We're just allowing ourselves to kind of have these really wild experiences as human beings, and what we can gather from that. And I thought what you said was beautiful. The idea of we come in fully aware as infants, essentially aware of love, aware of light, aware of source or spirit or whatever you want to call it, and then we're supposed to forget it. We're supposed to, and we're supposed to go through all these different things, and then we come back, or hopefully we come back, and we recognize that we've always been on a spiritual journey. We've always been on this sort of path to recognize that we've always been connected. We've never been separate. We always feel like we're in our own skin, in our own bodies, and we're having our own like solo experience. But we've always been connected to everyone here, as well as to Source itself, which brings you now to that incredible experience with Hicks. What was like the first step after that for you?
I want to go back 1 second
Sure.
and just state that although my experience, and I know you've had experiences that were spiritual that caused us to have those handprints on our back, which we talked about before,
Yeah,
to push
that's
us
right.
forward. There are many people that have an experience in a different way, right? They'll have a car accident, they'll have an illness that'll put them on their own spiritual journey. So I just want to make it clear, right? And I know you're agreeing with me 100% that we all have that moment. It's whether we choose to make it a moment into consciousness, and to figure out if there's something else. So like I said, I've always known there was something else. That experience on my yoga cushion that day showed me there was something else. So now I know there's something else. I don't just think it. And my experience as a soul here has been, I'm always going to experience it before I teach it. I'm always going to know what it feels like in me before I give it to anyone else, because I'm not the sort of person that's going to tell you what to do. I'm going to tell you what I've done, and whatever you make of it, go do that.
Yep.
So because I lost my income because of the economy tanking. Now these are all, my next video coming up is going to be about, these plot twists, these course corrections, which is what we are all in right now. This has been my life, most of my life. And I know a lot of people feel that way. Like, I've had these moments where I've lost everything and had to come back. So I went from a 6-figure income, a beautiful car, a home, to nothing, where I started moving away from, I was living in Vermont. I needed to get away. I also needed to get away from a guy that was there that I just couldn't get rid of. I had to physically move my body. So I did. So when I'm in Virginia, I'm basically now home. I'm living with family. And I practiced 24/7. And when I say that, every part of what I did every day, from my thoughts to my actions to the way I spoke to people, was part of my soul rising in consciousness. I was as if I was in therapy 24/7. It was exhausting. But for some reason, I had that time to do it because Spirit led me to Virginia, which is where I first started seeing Spirit. I had to be in that area because that was Maine Civil War area, and Abraham Lincoln came to me also in that area. So not because they couldn't get me anywhere else, it's because I wasn't in the right frame of mind unless I was in that vibration. Mm-hmm. So everything has a vibration, you get this. And here we are in 3D, and here we'll say Spirit is 7, 8, 9, 10 levels of existence, spiritual plane, which is what I said as. And when you start to connect to Spirit, if you'd like to connect to Spirit, source, yourself, your soul, you have to raise your vibration. And when you raise your vibration, this happens. And if you're going to speak with spirit guides, or anybody out there, they sometimes will lower their vibration to meet you. Yeah. So everybody does this. So you find yourself maybe having a meditation where you get nauseous or lightheaded. That's because your consciousness is lifting to a place where you haven't been yet. And you're moving your soul, spilling it out of your body. You use that word forever now, spilling that out of your body so that you can raise your consciousness. So in this moment, we are all in a moment of what a great opportunity to raise our vibration, raise our consciousness, and change in the moment, in the order that our soul meant it to happen. So I'm in Virginia and I'm doing the work 24/7. And I ended up quitting a full-time job that I had down the street because I couldn't find the time to do me during that job. I was working on what my boss meant to me, what her family meant to me. And then I was like, I'm done with this. I got to go find out what Jerry wants. So I stopped working and I took care of my family's house for a while, their dog, they traveled, whatever, just doing little things. But there came a point where I needed some money. So I said, Spirit, because now I'm talking out loud to them, I need a job. 2 days a week, I'm thinking $10 an hour, that should suit me. A day later, I go to get my car washed at this local car wash because they said it's great. Oh, okay. And there's a sign on the counter of the cashier saying, cashier job available 2 days a week, $10 an hour.
It's how it works, right?
That's how it works, right? So I worked there for 2 years, and that's how I gave myself more time. So I deleted even more out of my life to devote to this because I'm the type A personality. If I'm going to do this, I'm going to do it type A. Now I had to learn to get rid of type A, but it still works in some senses. I did start and manage many businesses. So this to me was just another business. And I wanted to make one more point. I was at that job for almost 2 years. I was at a point where I needed to go do some classes with someone else because there was so much happening to me that I couldn't Google. I would Google, this just happened, and they're like, Nothing would come up in the Google search. I'm like, okay, I need to go speak to someone else. So I'm just about to go into my boss. In fact, I did. I asked her, can I get some more hours? Because I need some more money. I want to take some classes. So I asked her, she says, great, I'll give you 4 days a week instead of 2. Fabulous. On the day I go to work, that next day, the door's locked. This is a business that's been in business for 28 years. The door's locked. And I'm banging on the door. I'm the first one in. The managers, they're already inside. I'm banging on the door. And the owner comes to the door and he said, nobody told you? And I'm like, no. I closed. I'm closing. I'm sick of my partners. I'm sick of everything. I'm closing. So I said, well, I'm sorry, or congratulations, whatever works for you. And I said, so that means what? And he said, you're out of a job. She said, okay. So I walked out of there, walked to my car, looked up at the universe and went, good one. Now what do you do? So I feel myself, I feel all of you in that same boat right now, right? Major plot twist, major change of course. What are you going to do now?
It's this beautiful opportunity that most people don't see as being beautiful right away. It winds up being something like, you can put yourself into fear vibration real quick when those things wind up happening like that, like losing a job, or maybe a relationship falls apart, whatever. It could be anything. It's always important to see the light in those moments, like what you're talking about. Being able to let go and see something as an opportunity, a new stepping stone, and to build something fresh out of that. And you wind up being a more fulfilled person as a result. Like, you take on these challenges that life throws at you. And it's not like, woe is me, like I have to deal with this now. It should be like, oh, this is great. What am I going to discover about myself as a result of this? But I think a lot of us do have difficulty letting go. So that's my question for you with, you already had a connection with spirit. Or even when you were very young, you were always aware. It wasn't like you lost that. You've always had a sense of it. It just got, you were looking at it more and more as you got older.
Yes, but I'm not gonna sugarcoat any of it.
Yeah.
It was hard work. It was, I've lost many jobs after this, not lost, but they stopped.
Yeah.
I had to spend more money than I wanted to. A mouse got into my car and I had to spend $1,600, and when I had no money.
Yeah.
And so I've had moments, and even just now coming here to live with my 2 friends, the plan was for me to be here a month and a half, and then I was going to go teach work at Omega, which is a summertime gig that I have. And they're not going to open now for 2 more months. Yeah. So even now, and I find myself like, it just took practice not to immediately jump to, holy crap, not again.
Yeah.
It just meant to me, all right, now what? And it's now 11:11 on my clock as I look at it for the first time. Again, I'm not going to sugarcoat it. It's not easy. None of this is easy. I get what everybody's saying to me, to my friend Aditi, family, friends. What am I going to do? Well, nobody knows that yet. We only know what we're doing right now. So it's taking me years to practice. And I already had, you're right, I already had the base, but the base only made for, like, you're paving the ground, making it easier to ride your bike along, because Spirit always uses that analogy of a road, right? There's no pits anymore in the road. You've used everything you've learned, whether it's been your childhood, some therapy that you've done, a relationship that you've had and lost, a job that you've had and lost. You use all of that so you can use your past to pave the way for your future. I've never said that before. That's really cool, right? Sure, someone said it, but that's what I've done now. So, and again, I'm not going to say it's easy. I had anxiety up all of a sudden with age. Anxiety starts to build. And it's when I attach to my physical body and not my soul that I let that anxiety rule me. So I didn't get a lot of sleep last night, and that doesn't usually happen to me, but I was anxious, and I I don't say anymore it's because of what's going on out there. Because if it's going on out there, I'm picking it up. It must be in me also. So I'm working on me during that whole time. I breathe. I have a little insomnia app on my phone. I put the ocean waves on. 5 minutes later, I'm like, no, that doesn't work. Then I put the rain on. No, that doesn't work. I got to pee now. So I just kept trying different things. So whenever I'm at the bottom of my toolbox, I just ask Spirit for something else. And Spirit sent me you. This ability, and my friend Aditi, this ability to be able to talk, even if it's 5-10 minutes a day, to talk consciously, to close my eyes and just say, Spirit, I'm ready.
It is difficult. Life is not meant to be easy. But even saying that, I think we got to be careful. If we say things are difficult or we say things aren't going to be easy, like it's all a frame of mind, right? Like, and with people that I work with and even some friends that I have, what I've learned for myself to be able to let go, to be able just to allow myself to kind of flow with what happens is I have to paint it for myself. I have to create images for myself to make it where it's just, hey, this is what it is. If I start coloring it in a way where it's not good, then I'm going to crumble like anyone else would. And I've been there, just like you in certain moments. We've all had these really intense experiences that we weren't able to really deal with on the most healthy level possible. And that's great, because then that eventually gives us the opportunity to regroup and grow from it. Like, it's okay to fall apart in moments, provided that you're not giving up. So I always say this to myself. I say, for the sake of being able to let go of things, however it winds up appearing to me and showing up for me, this is a healthy challenge. And within that phrase of healthy challenge, I see clear stepping stones that I can work with. Where if I don't look at it like that, if I change my thought or have my thought forms just being negative or difficult or frustrating, or I don't see any opportunity or any new possibility from it, then I'm going to wallow and I'm going to not do so well. And I'm going to impact the people around me as well as hurting myself. And again, that's not bad. There's no bad. It's just let's twist it quick so we can have fun with it, as opposed to holding it down. We're always faced with things that we have to work with. How have you gotten yourself to a point where you've trained yourself to consistently be so open with taking those steps that are your path and not deviating from the path? I don't know if it's a blueprint necessarily, but something in terms of how oh yeah, no, I can work through anything. Like, how did you get to that level?
I say that practice.
Yeah.
Just like I practiced meditation. I'm going to ask you something, which I find an enjoyable question, because I love it that only one person that I've ever asked got the correct answer in a world of no good, bad, right, or wrong.
Sure, yeah.
So I'll start with meditation. How do you know when you've achieved meditation? How do you know when you've gotten it? You've achieved meditation?
That's easy. When I'm no longer there. I mean, when I'm no longer, it's letting go of what you think your presence is and getting to a spot where you're so present it transcends that definition of being present. It's like something else entirely. So, and that, like, to go along with your idea of like training, it's a training, because I remember when I first started meditating, I never was taught by anybody how to do it. I just heard about it and said, okay, I'll figure out how to do this. And it got to a point where one day I had this experience, something similar to yours, not where I was out in the universe and feeling like I was one with Source and time, flew by. It wasn't like that, but it was just so outside of normal experience. And I wasn't this. I wasn't mind or body. I wasn't DaKen. I was, that was just some sort of like fleeting concept that wasn't available to me anymore. So, and once I came out of it, when I came back into mind body, I said, I don't know where I just was. but it certainly wasn't here, and it felt more real than this. So I would say it's presence. Basically, I let go of ego. What I would define as ego, identity. What we use to help us navigate in this world is this illusion of what we think we are, and that is a human identity. And when I meditate and do so successfully, there is nothing human about me. I am literally one thing and only one thing, and I can create anything that I want in a moment, within a single like tiny increment of time. Boom, whatever I choose is there, and I get to play with it.
So tell me, I'm going to ask you one more question. Tell me, when that doesn't happen to you and you sit down in meditation, you close your eyes and that doesn't happen, all you're doing is watching your thoughts and you're getting frustrated and you're making your list in your head. How do you feel when that happens?
I'm actually okay. I mean, well, to be honest, there's moments when I'm disappointed, sure, but then I've also recognized in all of that, it's just a matter of being. Like, I don't need to achieve anything. I'm perfect no matter where I wind up going as a result of meditating or not. I don't place an expectation on it.
There's the answer that I was looking for.
Being?
So you're different, right? You're a different level of consciousness at this point. You've had more practice meditating. But if you would say to people out there, when it doesn't happen to you, because most of the time it doesn't happen to people, they don't go someplace else. They don't feel that relaxed sense. They judge themselves. They're disappointed. So now we're looking at duality, feeling good or feeling bad.
Yeah, sure.
And my goal over these years is to get rid of duality and just say that everything's stable. So the answer, which is going to help a lot of people right now, because you just said it, you achieve meditation when you set the intention to sit. When you close your eyes, in that moment, you've achieved meditation.
It's complete there, sure.
Anything else that comes is gravy, is icing on the, dare I say, cake, because I don't have any right now. I don't want to put that thought in my head. Yeah. But if you sit and you close your eyes and all you're seeing is the list going through your head and the thoughts, then you watch those thoughts and you practice. Yeah. And that's what I do now when I sit, because it doesn't happen every time. Yes, last night I was watching a movie on my computer and I heard spirits start to talk to me. And I'm like, I'm watching a movie. And they're like, we have something to say. So I pause the movie, I go to my document screen, and I just wrote a poem from the universe. I said, oh, yeah, that was nice. I needed to hear that. Thank you. And I went back to watching my movie. So for most people, again, that doesn't happen that way. But for me, what I've been learning, and I've been meditating for over 20 years now, is you don't have to sit for 20 to 30 minutes anymore. Close your eyes, take a bunch of breaths. If you're uncomfortable, get up and go away, go do something else. But meditation is a 24/7 practice. Meditation, the true definition of meditation is an awareness. It's an awareness on one thing. So whether you're watching your thoughts, whether you're reading a book, whether you're driving your car, brushing your teeth, taking a shower, talking to someone, be present in that one thing. And in that respect, you're doing your soul's work 24/7, not just when you sit in meditation.
Yeah, just giving yourself the time, to be in that kind of space. You've already achieved it. I agree. The Lakota Indians specifically used a special technique with regards to hunting and how they would hunt. And I heard this story. It's an anecdote, but I'll make it brief. Essentially, the idea of meditation to them, they were aware of it in the way that people would do it, in terms of sitting, closing their eyes, focusing on breath or whatever, anything revolving around that idea. To them, life is meditation. Like, as long as you're being, and present is totally part of it too, but it's like you're being without any level of thought, which seems kind of counterintuitive, but it's really not. When you relax every thought that you have, and you're just allowing yourself to be what you are in that moment without defining what you are, and you're living that way consistently, Um, that's it. That's meditation. For them, Lakotas, it was like, why would I have to take time out of my day to do a very specific type of practice to call it meditation? Where they were so connected with Earth, they themselves were part of all the things that they were aware of externally, like it was essentially one thing. And they can connect and feel and hear and have all that amazing experience during those expeditions that they would have. So I thought that was pretty wild in terms of, yeah, it's just a matter of being, and you've achieved it and you've made it happen.
A guided meditation is fabulous. That may take 20 minutes. I'm not saying, when you're sitting down, don't do 20 minutes. If you're going to do a guided meditation, that's fabulous. 20 minutes, half an hour, 15
Yeah,
minutes, 10
yeah.
minutes. Find some great guided meditations. But just as if you wanted to play hockey, I'll say hockey because my daughter works for a hockey team. You're not just going to go on the ice and know how to play hockey. You have to practice. So you've heard it as much as I've heard it from students. I can't meditate because my mind won't shut off. Well, great. Let's start there. And you just have to practice. And I'll say, when I do decide to sit, because I don't do it that often.
Yeah.
Because I'm meditating 24/7. It's exhausting. Why would I want to, again, spend another 20 minutes? So
Sure.
if I feel I'm a little getting anxious, yesterday I got a little anxious. I went outside. I went for a drive. I had to. I'll just close my eyes, take a bunch of deep breaths, remind myself what I'm doing, where I am, look at the clock, be in the present moment, feel my breath expand my lungs. I just remind myself where I am in that moment. And it's a practice. Meditation, just like life, is a practice.
The more you allow yourself to be disciplined in doing whatever you resonate with, whatever your practice is, whatever the pieces are that you put together, allowing yourself to just commit to doing it without any expectation, I think is tremendous. You keep doing it and doing it and doing it, and eventually you don't have to do it anymore. Like, it's almost like, as long as you keep the practice going and you don't question it, you don't say, oh, it's not working for me, or it's okay, but I don't get what I used to out of it. It doesn't matter. You just continue with it, and then at one moment you're going to know, oh, it's complete. We tend to give up a little bit too easy. Whether, it's someone like you said, like, people that are coming in for a guided meditation. Oh, I can't meditate because X, Y, Z. Well, of course you can't, because you're already telling yourself that you can't do it. So why don't you take that out of your, thought process and say, maybe I can meditate, and then there's an opportunity there. Once you go through, I can't, then nothing's going to come out of it. Just give yourself a chance.
Spill over? Is that what you're saying? Spill over?
Actually, I bet you the majority of what we discussed today is going to wind up relating back to the spilling over. Yeah, absolutely. It would spill over.
That's the idea of the magic dictionary.
Yeah.
That's the idea, to use those words, because instead of spirit coming through and telling you this long line, because that would be nice. The spirit would just come into my head and say, Donna, this is what we want you to do. Which hasn't happened. It's happened once or twice, but it doesn't happen. I get images, I get words, I get feelings, sensations. But when you can interpret a word and a definition and take that into your life, I'm like, woohoo, yeah, I'll take it.
Your connection to spirit and being aware of basically seeing through the veil and what other information is available to us to access. A lot of people have questions with what their own purpose in life is, and especially now with what's going on, what could they do to kind of find out what their path would be in such a difficult time?
So I'll go back to a video I watched of yours, which was about perspective. If you're using this time to look at spirit, God, source, universe, whatever, and you're doing that with a closed fist and saying, tell me why this is happening, that immediately says to me, I'm closed off, I'm not ready to spill, right? And I want to be proven to that this wasn't about me. I want to know that this wasn't about me, that you did something. It's out there, right? Even the people that say it is what it is. When I say that, I say it is as it is. Because when I say it is what it is, I feel like I'm putting that off on someone else. Like, it's not my fault. It's the fault of whatever just happened. It's not my fault. But when I say it is as it is, I take that responsibility upon myself. So instead of closed fist, you say with open fist to source, show me why. Show me why I am ready. And when you get that clear space about you where you're not saying, you know, this just happened, because I've been there, I've done that. You took my job away. Now what do I do? Well,
Yeah.
I went home and asked my cousin, and my cousin was like, why don't you collect unemployment? Oh, I never thought of that.
Yeah.
I've paid into unemployment because I've had a business for 20 years. I've never accepted it, but I'm like, no, I don't want to do that. And she said, yes, you can do that. And I think there's a lot of people right now who are struggling with the fact that they have to collect unemployment. It's okay.
Yeah.
That's what that's set up for.
Mm-hmm.
You can't live your life if you've lost your job. You have to have that. So accept the fact that the universe is sending you unemployment, like it sent me unemployment.
Yeah.
However many years ago that was. So now you're saying to the universe, show me why I am ready. When I wake up in the morning, the first thing I say is, I'm ready. I'm ready. I don't say for what, I say I'm ready. And then when I go to bed at night, regardless of what happened during the day, whether you're going to call it good, bad, right, or wrong, I don't care, but I'm not going to call it anything. Regardless of what happened during the day, I'm going to go to bed that night and say thank you. Because the universe, oh, you accepted what I sent you. I'm going to send you something more tomorrow.
Gratitude goes a long way, and they definitely hear it.
Another thing you can do is ask for a sign in your dreams. I got a lot, and I've done it a lot. Where do I go next, Spirit? When I first started teaching yoga, I went and taught at this other studio that I practiced at. And I was teaching for weeks, and nobody was showing up, DaKen. Nobody. And I knew in my soul this was what I was supposed to do. I wanted to teach yoga. It was a beautiful space. Nobody was showing up. Nobody. Every class, nobody showed up. So I would do my own practice, take advantage of that. But one day I put my head down in child's pose, which is the head below the heart, the true posture of surrender. And I cried, and I cried, and I cried. And this beautiful poem came to me, came out my mouth, and I recited it over and over and over. And I can't even remember right now. It would take a lot out of me to even remember it. But I recited it over and over and over again. When I went to bed that night, I asked Spirit. And I don't even know what I was calling it then because I wasn't a medium. But I said, show me a sign in my dream what I'm going to do next. And in my dream, I had a dream that I took my daughter, who was like 6, 7, 8 at the time, but she was young. She was like 3 or 4 years old. I took her by the hand and we went up to the local sports club, which was in my town up at the ski resort. And I asked, do you need a yoga teacher? And they said, yes. And it was specific. It was that club. So in the morning I got up and I didn't take my daughter because that was silly. Why would I take my daughter to a job? So I didn't understand that portion of the dream yet. And I went up to the health club, went right to the desk and said, hey, yoga teacher. Are you guys looking for a yoga teacher? And they said, oh my God, I've been looking for a yoga teacher. We have never had a yoga class here before. Great. I started my first class. I think I had 60 people crammed in like this. And here's the other funny thing. I had laryngitis.
Oh, man.
So I had one of my friends who had been in all my other classes, knew me very well. I would whisper it to her and she would recite it to the class. I stayed at that health club for 2 years. And then I opened my own studio because that was the next dream I asked for. Look, I'm done at this place. What do I do now? And they said out loud this time, go visit your friend, Sally and Rick. And I went to visit them and they found a studio for me. So 3 years, 4 years, 5 years later, I realized the little girl in my dream was who? It was me. It was me taking my inner child, my little girl by the hand and saying, I can do this.
Yeah.
So ask your dreams to show you a sign, and you may have to interpret them. You may have to speak them out to someone else. Because I've done that before. I thought I knew what they meant, and then I'm talking to my sister and I'm telling her this, and I'm like, oh my God, that's what that means. but I had to say it out loud first, whether it's a therapist, a friend, a family member, whatever.
Yeah.
But dream work was pretty cool. You can also do a magic dictionary on your own. Grab a dictionary, do that. Everybody has a connection. But before you attempt to make that connection, just say, I am ready. And if you can say those 3 words, I am ready, not I am available, I am a spiritual being, I am ready. Spirit will come through. They may not come through that day. It may be the next day or the next day. I don't know. It's taking, how old am I right now? I'm older. I don't want to say how old I am, but I'm in my late 50s. I'm saying that only because I don't know how old I am. I have to do the math.
Yeah.
Because last year I thought I was a certain age, and my daughter's like, Mom, you're not that age. You're this age. Darn it, I am that age. So I was younger than I thought I was.
You're so busy living life and feeling alive that doesn't even matter. You've forgotten.
Exactly. Only when I do the math do I have to figure that out.
Yeah.
So I don't say I wasted any time.
Yeah.
Even, the guy that I was with, it took a long time to get rid of that. It took a long time to let go. My father passed, and we have a great connection now here when he's in spirit world. But I had my cat when my cat passed, my good friend Diane when she passed. I just don't feel things the way I used to feel things when that plot twist comes along anymore, because I've had such good practice with it, not because I practice it on my own, but things have happened where I've had to practice that.
Yeah.
So they're still going to happen to me. They're still going to happen to you. They're still going to happen to everybody. That's what life is. That's the journey we chose to take.
Yeah.
So however it pans out for you, I'm ready in the morning. And when I go to bed, thank you for what came today.
I think you saying, each morning we have to create our life. We have to always constantly keep recreating our life. And what I mean by that is if you wake up in the morning where you're not allowing yourself to be ready to create, then it can easily fall. Like you're going to be like a feather in the wind. You're not choosing for yourself. And we think that we are just this feather that gets blown in the wind. That's nonsense. That's not true at all. You wake up in the morning and say, okay, I'm ready. Don't have to define what it is. I'm just ready for whatever it is. And I'm going to take lead. I am going to take charge in what it is that I choose to do. And I'm going to do it with a focus, a presence, and a passion. And even if you don't do it with passion, you're going to find as you're doing it, and if you're doing it in a way that is good for you, you're going to feel the passion come into you as you're doing it if you don't really have the drive at that moment, which is totally okay. Always give ourselves the time that we need to basically bring our vibration higher, to go at something in a way that really is true to who we are and how we feel about it. What you said about waking up, I think, is very important. Have a really healthy attitude right from the beginning. I'm ready. I am ready. The next thing is what you said, allowing yourself to ask for something. So many of us don't ask. And isn't that like, it's almost like it's, this is just silly, right? Asking for things, like just outwardly, just to myself, because not everyone necessarily believes that there's, either guides or ancestors that have passed away, or spirit in general that is listening. And that's okay. You don't even have to agree that that's a reality or not, but still ask, because you are creating your life. And if you put it out there verbally, you're asking for information either in dreams or what have you, just based on the experiences that you have within the day or weeks later, it could be. Something's going to show up in a way based on what you're asking for. You naturally attract the information that you're requesting. So put it out there in words and don't feel silly about it. Feel empowered by it. It's an awesome thing to do. You don't even have to call it prayer. You can call it whatever you want. Don't even call it anything. Do it. It's an incredible magnet for working out what it is that you want and having it come to you. So yeah, using words and being patient. And what you said, you were persistent. You've taught yourself to be persistent. So, what might break someone else if they're saying, hey, I know I meant to do this, and in your case, it was being a yoga teacher, and you don't get students at first. That might break people to the point where they just go, this is a silly effort, it's never going to work out. And guess what? It won't. But if you keep at it, of course it will. There's no way that it couldn't work out for you. There's no way that it couldn't work out if you know that this is in your heart. It's something that you need to achieve and work through. You just keep going with it, even when it looks dire and it's never going to work out, even if you have no money. Whatever it is, as long as you know it's what you need to do, what you want to do, you go do it.
That's beautiful. And I love the way you just interpret everything I say in a different way and further. That's beautiful. It doesn't mean that even a thought in your head is something you need to look at during the day.
Yeah, yeah.
And you follow your soul path, in no matter where it is. Your soul path is a street, is a road. Spirit shows it to me constantly. But even if you veer, that's part of your path too, and you come back. So yeah, I've broken down many times. My car is broken down. My car is broken down many times, and I thought, what did I just say to myself? And I had to rethink, like you were talking about. You have to rethink your way of thinking. You have to look at it from a different perspective. And again, I'm going to say, I have my moments. I have my moments still. Many times I have my moments. Living the life I live, I'm a minimalist also. Everything I own is in my car.
That's great.
And I don't have a home. Everybody says great, but I'm like, but I still suffer too. I still have those challenges that you have. It's just at a different level. For me, my car is very instrumental. Some people have, the chair they sit on in their living room where they get information from. My car is very powerful for me. The shower, brush my teeth, anything to do with water is powerful. But there was a time when I was in my car. This is back in Vermont before I became a medium. I was doing a lot of yoga, and I was doing a lot of intentional listening to the words and the thoughts. I always say, notice everything until you notice nothing at all. Mm-hmm. So I had just been stood up. I was trying to get away from the guy, and I had a blind date. And just before the blind date was going to occur, he had emailed, because back then there was no texting. He had emailed, that's how old I am. He had emailed and canceled. So I went out in my car, and I looked in the rearview mirror, and I started backing up, and I heard someone in the back seat say, see, I told you you weren't good enough. You might as well go back to Joe. And I'll use the word Joe. That's not his real name. His real name's Jim. But anyway, you might as well go back to him. And I turned around. Who said that? I said that, DaKen. I said that to myself. So I had done so much other clearing out stuff that the actual voice that had been speaking to me for years, I just heard. So when you said, ask, it may seem silly to ask. You also may think you don't deserve it.
Yeah, sure.
Because there's that little voice inside of you that was inside of me that was telling me you don't deserve anything better. Go back to that. Yeah. I was so thankful. I said, thank you. Also, that was freaky. But thank you for hearing. I'm so thankful that voice came out.
That's great.
And then what do you do with it? What do you do with that voice?
Yeah.
You make it your friend. You call it in. You say, come on, tell me more. Tell me more of what I think I'm not worthy of.
Yeah.
And that's the pieces of your soul, the shaman work that I do, the past life work that I do, that are outstanding. You want to bring all those pieces of your soul back to you.
When it comes to like intuition and ego and the idea of voice and hearing spirit, hearing guides, I think it's important for us to make a distinction between, what is it that we're hearing and where are we hearing it? Like I use ego for me in terms of where it sits. I hear what I call my thoughts in my head, sort of like on an angle. Now, I don't know that everyone's going to really relate to that. So I'll go a step further. If I hear myself, what I consider, not my true self, but what I consider to be the ego, say, no, you can't do that, or you don't deserve this, I know that's not me. Because as a spiritual being, which we all are, spirit being having a human experience, I have and deserve everything. Every single one of us on this planet, as a conscious being, deserves anything that we are interested in, that we love. Provided that you're not hurting anyone as a result. It's all a matter of, hey, I am worthy. I am everything that I tell myself I'm not. Whether it's bad or good, it doesn't matter. It's just I have access to it all. So if I hear no, you can't do that, or you shouldn't do this because of that, or you're going to feel guilty, or what have you, as long as it's in your heart, it's okay to move forward. So if you hear no, that's something that I use for myself as like a clear, oh, okay, that's ego, that's not me. And the further I have progressed in this kind of work, me recognizing just my intuition, something that comes so clean and so pure and not from a negative state, I know right away there's something valuable in that for me that I'm going to look at. And then a step further, recognizing spirit and guides, it's so wild because it feels almost like electricity to me. When I'm working with a guide, I almost feel like a very subtle like frequency or voltage, and it's not painful. It's like pleasurable. And as opposed to just using electricity or like that kind of a wavelength, you can think of it as if like you're vibrating at a slightly higher level. And for people that aren't used to that and feeling what that's like, in the body, it literally feels like like internally you're shaking. And that's how I know when I'm connecting with the guide. Sometimes I'll feel it in different chakra centers and so forth. But I think it's one of those wild things that, yeah, you just keep working with it and you'll start recognizing what's talking. If you keep associating yourself with ego, you're going to hold yourself back and you're not going to be able to go along your soul's path or your soul's journey, your spiritual journey. Ego is meant to keep you kind of compressed in something that feels safe but isn't. It's a false feeling of safety, and what you're giving up as a result is true fulfillment, true excitement that makes this inner organ, this beautiful heart, open up and share with everyone. So it's not that it's hard, it's just different than what we're used to.
And it's different for everybody. You said it. A lot of people won't resonate with what you said, won't resonate with what I said, because I never felt worthy of this. I've never felt worthy of this. I still struggle with feeling worthy of this. When it first came to me, I had people tell me, when I first told someone I wanted to write a book, she's like, you're not going to write a book. I still have that voice in my head.
And that's her ego telling you that, and then it plays with you a little.
But she said it at the right point in my life where I stopped my whole thought of that. Then I realized, okay, I did write the book. I didn't say it was going to be published. I just wanted to write the book. So I wrote the book, and I've got about 7 more. I didn't say it was going to be published. Spirit always told me, you're going to write a book. They never said it was going to be published. They just said I was going to write a book. So I continue to write. So there's that piece of me that till this day doesn't feel worthy unless I'm in that vibration. So if I lower that vibration and we're around other people that have a lower vibration, my unworthiness comes right out. I'm right there. It's a, what do they call it? It's an addiction. For me, that's my addiction, my unworthiness. So when I first started this work, I was actively talking to spirit. I'm saying, all right, I want to be completely out when I channel. I want to be this when I channel. And they're like, that's not going to work for us. I'm like, what do you mean that's not going to work for us? This is going to work for me. Because who's going to believe me if I'm talking like this?
Like normal, yeah, right.
Who's going to believe me? Spirit, again, nah, we're not so sure about that. So they put me on another path to figure out and practice how to be a conscious, clear channel for spirit. where Donna's stuff got processed. I didn't push it out of the way. I processed it. I worked with it, with my ego. I asked it, show me why. I kept saying that to myself. Ego, if you're talking to me, come on in. I want to hear you. I don't want to deny you like I denied that voice in the car, because I've had years of unworthiness based on what I chose for this lifetime. My family, my parents, my relationships. That was mine, my choice this lifetime. And now I'm working it, babe. I'm working it.
Good for you. That's great. How is it that you help to keep your vibration high? And knowing that so many of us, so many people do have that voice that they identify as who they are, that ego voice saying, I don't deserve this. It's hard to break out of that in a way where you can, maybe you have pockets of time where you feel good, but ultimately that voice can help keep you down if you associate with it. How do you wind up keeping your vibration up?
Practice, because I still go up and down, and I'm living a different life, right? I live a life of seclusion a lot, isolation a lot, because that's what spirit led me. That was the idea that I needed. Okay, I get it. I need this. For others, and when it happens to me, food was very important to me. I grew up in a family who were raw foodists who worked at health institutes. So I knew right away, when I was 20 something, that food is a very vibrational thing. And if you're putting sugar in your body, alcohol, any along the non-vibrational things, your soul can't speak to you. You're almost, in a sense, pushing that soul down. So for me, I had to go off sugar. That took a long time. And all of a sudden one day I said, because I was off, I was on, I was off, I was on. I said to spirit, they said to me very clearly in a dream, you need to stop sugar. That's exactly what they did in my dream. Exactly the exact words I heard. So I woke up the next morning and I said, look, clearly I can't do this on my own. Give me some help. And they said, you never asked us before. You kept thinking you're the only person that's involved in this situation. You have spirit. Spirit always has your back. So when I asked them for help, it happened like that. Now, that doesn't mean I don't eat sugar.
Yeah.
I'm just not addicted to it the way I was before. Now when I eat it, I enjoy it, and the judgment's not there.
Yeah.
So there's one thing. You asked just spirit in your head or out loud, spirit, I really need help with this. Whether it's smoking cigarettes, drinking alcohol, drugs, sex, money, whatever it is.
Anything that it is.
For help. Right there with you guys, right there with you. So I know that if I'm starting to feel anxiety, I fast. I intermittent fast now. That's my life now.
That's great.
But I've been through moments where I fasted for a whole week. I've done juice. I've done it all.
Yeah.
Again, I've been doing this since I was 20. I'm almost 60 now. So now I intermittent fast. I wake up in the morning, I'm not hungry. My body's trained enough now where I only eat one meal in the afternoon. My body tells me, okay, I'm hungry. But I'll juice or I'll drink a lot of water, so I'm in that. But I eat anything I want when it comes to the afternoon at this point. So look at the food the food that you're taking in. Look at the people that are around you. If they're a lower vibration, people always ask me, how can I protect myself? And I'm like, you really can't, because if you're here in front of me asking that question, you are a higher vibrational person. So get away from them for a while. Go outside. I'm not a fan of boundaries, because I think if you set a boundary, it means you're not letting the person in that's meant to teach you something. So if you run away, that's different than walking away, understanding that it's not your situation.
Yeah.
So the first thing I ask when someone brings something up in me, I don't use certain words anymore. So when someone brings something up in me, I ask, am I doing the same thing to someone else? And if the answer is no, I say, okay, what is it that I'm meant to learn from this person? And then if I say, oh, nothing, I think I got that, then I say, it's time to walk away. And that could be from a person, a job. And I've had many jobs where I said, I've learned my lessons here. It's time to move on. So I'd never suggest to someone quit your job, because if you quit your job, you're going to find it somewhere else too. It's everywhere. Your lessons are everywhere. They follow you. They follow you, DaKen.
I love that.
Lessons follow you.
They never go away. If you haven't figured it out and you think by leaving something or getting rid of something that it's not going to come back, is sorely mistaken. No matter where you are, it doesn't matter what location geographically. And again, the people. You may let go of certain people and you think you did a good service for yourself, which is great. If you haven't taken care of the work internally, those same people, not the identical people, but the same like quality in terms of their energy, they're going to find you somewhere else in a different area too. So yeah, it does follow you. I understand that.
How many times have you heard someone say, myself included, keep picking the same guy,
Yeah.
hello. So other things that you could do, get in the sunlight. If the sun's shining and it's too cold to go outside, sit in a window with the sun shining on your face. Take a shower. Drink water. All of those things are high vibration. If you live by water, go sit by the water. Social distancing. Sit by the water. I like this kind of social distancing because it's a vibrational distancing also. Mm-hmm. So it's also giving people the opportunity to not have someone vibrationally unsound beside them. Because now you're figuring out why that person at work that you had to go to work every day, how that person was affecting you every day. Now you're noticing, well, wait a minute, that person's not here anymore, but I'm still feeling that.
Yeah.
When I quit my 6-figure income, it was intense. Every day I woke up waiting for that phone call from a business that said the work wasn't done last night. I mean, it came maybe once in 20 years, which was nice, but every morning I would wake up with anxiety about the job. Mm-hmm. So I thought, you're going to laugh because I know you already know what I'm going to say. I thought when I quit the job, that voice, that anxiety wouldn't be there. Guess what?
Yeah.
It's still there. Every morning I wake up, I'm like, wait, I didn't work last night. I don't own that business anymore. Someone else is doing that now. Why do I still have the same anxiety? Yeah. So I had to look at that every day, every darn moment. I had to look at what was coming up in me so that I could allow my soul to speak to me.
What an important point. When you don't feel comfortable with something, you better look at it, like right away. Or if, depending on where you are, if you have to wait till you get home, if you're out, fine, but look at it and just sit in it for a little while. Do yourself one of the biggest services possible. You want to up your vibration. When you're not feeling comfortable with something or you're upset about something, look at it. Don't suppress it. Don't push it down. Just look and keep on looking. And once you do that, I feel like you recognize that those things don't have any power over you. And you have the ability of rising above it. And you're going to feel some sort of a release as a result. Just look at it. I say this so many times to people. Whatever doesn't feel good, stare at it. Like you're having the biggest staring contest. And you're not going to lose. You know that you're not going to lose when you're doing the staring contest. And so quickly, once they make that commitment to themselves, it takes seconds. Like once they go and look at it, it takes seconds for it to kind of just be like, oh, I see it differently now. And then there's this new space for them where they can rise above it. Diet. Oh, I love it. You saying that I didn't know that you fasted before, or that you've made fasting part of your practice. I've done that as well, and I've heard from my guides. One specifically said that I had to fast, and I didn't get it. I didn't have any idea what the connection to fasting was with regards to my own vibration and just my awareness of spirit. And once I did, I was like, oh, got it. I always think of food as like a weight, especially the things that I consider to be the wrong food. And I have a sugar addiction as well, and I've worked through that many, many times, but I always come back to it once in a while. But I don't have guilt about it either. So food intake is very, very important.
When you raise your vibration, when you're holding down that vibration of oneness, you're working with others, right? Everybody else is doing the same thing. So now you're up in that and you're getting more from them too, from other souls also. You'll look at food and your body will tell you, I don't want that.
Yep.
My friend Aditi, she texted me one day. She said, I'm making soup. And I'm like, what's in it? She's like, this, and this. And I'm like, are you reheating it or are you cooking from a can? And she's like, does it make a difference? And I'm like, well, it does. Because if you're making the soup, I can't eat onions or garlic. If you're making the soup and the onions are thicker, I can't eat that. I can't digest that. And my body knows that immediately. But if it's already in a canned soup, it's pretty much disintegrated, I'm okay with that. Garlic, not okay at all. If anybody's listening right now and they have stomach aches or acid indigestion from garlic, suicidal thoughts, or other things going on in your head after eating garlic, I suggest you clearly look at garlic and watch my YouTube about that. So when we talked about mirror work, right? That's what it is. Everybody talks about mirror work, right? Putting the mirror up to yourself. And mothers do this with their children. Fathers, everybody does this with kids too. My daughter, in the midst of all my stuff back in Virginia, when I was suffering too, but we had a date to go out to dinner with friends, and she was young. She couldn't have been more than 10 or 11. She comes home from school and she's bawling her eyes out because of something her friend did at school. And I'm like, honey, oh, I really want to listen to this, but we have a dinner date with friends. Can we just put this on hold and bring it up later? It's like okay. She dried her tears. We went out to dinner. We came back and I said, okay, so here's what happened. You came in the door. You were crying because this person did this. She did it. She immediately started crying right then and there, and we processed it. So like you said, if it's not appropriate, then you till later. And you can do that. You absolutely can do that. You don't have to be processing everything every second of the day, because again, what? It's exhausting. Especially if your body's digesting standard American diet food, especially that, because if your body is processing, digesting, using energy to digest food, it can't use that energy to help raise your vibration. It can only do one thing at a time.
Yeah.
So fasting, what you recognize with fasting is it allows your vibration to immediately gather everything it can without having to digest food.
Yeah.
What works for me now is intermittent fasting and eating whatever my body tells me it wants. Not my mind.
Yeah.
My body.
Yep. No, that's great. And being able to listen to it and to know that. Sometimes we turn the other cheek, like we don't want to look we don't want to look at what our body's telling us or feel what our body's telling us. I just want to get like that taste pleasure, right, of whatever it is that we're interested in. But no, sometimes it's important to really hear what the body's saying and to follow it. Another big thing that I do for myself is breathing, which of course, most people are aware of this on some level, but if I want to have direct impact on raising my vibration, even if it's for a short period of time, if I just do some conscious breathing and thinking about where my breath is going, I can, we can, with intention, we can put our breath wherever we want to. But I would even just recommend for people that are just starting off thinking about breath, just take a really deep breath. Don't worry about how, through your nose, through your mouth, how you exhale. It doesn't matter. Just take a really deep breath. Most of us, when we look at it, will recognize that we're taking short, shallow breaths, and we're trying to get maybe like 15, 20, 30 breaths a minute. It's like we can really make do with a single deep breath within a full minute. 60 seconds for one full breath. It may seem crazy, but if you take a real deep breath, it'll wind up being like, oh, I'm actually pretty good. And you feel so clear and so focused, and you'll even feel a level of vibration. You'll feel that physicality of like a little jostling that's happening within you just by doing that. So breathing, I think, is great. Really, really deep breath. Another thing is sitting in silence and just listening to what shows up, whether it's internal chatter within your head or the ability of kind of silencing that and seeing what's coming out around you. There's something about silence where it's one of those profound thoughts, right? The highest volume sound I ever heard was silence. Like it's just so intense once you immerse yourself in it. And I feel almost like everything else washes away, and the true essence of what I am, energetically speaking, winds up presenting itself when I'm in total silence. And the dark, being in the dark, just allowing yourself to kind of sit in a dark space where you're not actively trying to sleep. And you don't even have to try to meditate. It literally is just a matter of, I'm sitting within dark space right now, and I have nothing to do except just being with myself. And there's something in a simple practice like that, even if you do it for 20, 30 minutes or what have you. You can even just do it for a few minutes. There's something in that where I recognize my vibration definitely increases. It's pretty cool.
I love what you said about silence. The soul who was Abraham Lincoln came to me when he was speaking about silence one time, and he said, I don't want you to sit in the silence. I want you to become the silence. There's always another level to take and practice, right? Even if you're a hockey player, gonna use it again. There's always another level. Like the really fabulous hockey players, any sports figure, anybody who does anything is really channeling something, has put themselves in such a present moment state of awareness that that's the only thing they're doing. And in that moment, it's so powerful, right? Whether it's channeling or, any prodigies, whether they're playing the piano or art. With our art, I'm sure you're channeling something other than yourself.
With everything that's going on right now, it looks kind of bleak based on the information that we hear. And it's all an appearance. I think it's very important for people to be aware what it is that we're hearing. And even if it is direct experience, because some people know people that have passed away as a result of this virus, but a lot of it is put out in the media in a way where it's making it where this is the only thing that's going on in life. And absolutely, we have to be conscious and be aware of it. There's no doubt, and we have to adjust to be safe for ourselves and everyone out there, for all of humanity. We don't want to potentially get it and impact someone else by giving it to somebody. So we have to be very present to that. But there's still tremendous beauty in everything in life that's going on, even right now, even though everyone seems to be very worried and panicky about all of this. I wanted to offer just something simple where this is it. It is what it is right now. This is it. And we can color that however we want to internally. We can look at it as like a doom and gloom and really horrible scenario, which from some perspective, it absolutely is. But we still have to be able to hold ourselves up and see that there is something positive that can come out of this. We can't keep looking at all of the horrible things that are taking place and hold ourselves in that space for so long. Of course, if we need to for a certain period of time, sure. But always come back to life is beautiful, even in these very difficult scenarios and situations. And in this case, being with this virus that is unfortunately taking a lot of lives. And it's a difficult time for a lot of us. But if this is what it is right now, then that's what it is. Let's be able to see something that we can do for ourselves and for humanity to grow, to see opportunity in this. And I think the best thing is right now what we can do for all of ourselves is not worry so much. Don't worry. Bringing a worrying vibration into yourself is going to wind up keeping you in this low-level state. And worrying has the ability to create an uneasiness or a disease. Like you can get a disease as a result of worrying so much. So keeping yourself in these high vibrations with what you've given us as some tools and some ideas for practice, I think is a really important thing. And we have the time to do it now. There's no excuse that we can't, find the time to do it. Everyone on the planet, for the most part, it seems like there's pockets of time available now where we can really dedicate to a practice that's different than what we typically have been doing.
And I think you said the other day, I don't know whether it was when we were talking or I heard on one of your videos, that when you consciously recognize every moment, you have more moments in the day. You get more done. It's amazing. Like when I was cleaning my business, I was like, when I started to really clean, I was doing an 8-hour job in 5 hours. And I kept looking around thinking I must miss something, but I didn't. I was more focused. And I think it's important to say also, we don't know where this is going. We just don't, because it's unprecedented. I've never said that word more than before in the last few days. When I've asked for myself, hey, what's going on? I only get, everything's going to be all right. That's all I get. Everything's going to be fine. And that means, to me, could be anything. Could mean good, bad, right, or wrong, but I don't believe in any of that. So whatever fine is, it's going to be fine. So not worrying about future, you have no idea what's going to happen. But in this moment, what am I going to do today? The sun finally came out today here in Michigan. I'm sure we'll get outside and get the sun on our face and take a walk, because I needed to be warm myself before I go outside. My daughter lives in New York City. She's in the heartbeat of it. Yesterday was she's been quarantined now in her apartment for 3 weeks. She gets out and runs in the park, and that's about it. But yesterday I said to Aditi, am I supposed to be worried about her? Is this what I say? I worry about I don't even know how old she is, 20-something daughter in New York City alone? I can't. I've never worried about her that way, because I raised her to understand that whatever happens, happens for a reason. But seriously, what the F is going on? I say that too. I also say, when I hang up the phone with her, I hope I get to see you again. Because I don't even know. She lived through 9/11, and I had to say to her, look, honey, we were in Vermont, thankfully, but she had family in New York City. Honey, I don't know if I can keep you safe from everything. I'm pretty sure I can't.
Yeah.
But if you understand that you're a grounded, safe person, that's all you need. That's all you need. Do whatever you can for yourself. So take care of yourself. Like you said, take care of your family, who's in your present moment right now. And the fear word came up in me yesterday, because someone didn't tell me. They told me a story, but they didn't tell me the whole story. So I got caught up in the fear. And I said to that person, so what's the rest of the story? And she's like, I don't know. And I said, then don't share the first half of the story, because that brought fear in me. I'm not going to listen to that. So you watch funny things on TV. John Krasinski has this show on YouTube now, The Good Things or something about it. He just started it, and he just shared good things that happened.
Hearing the good stuff is what we need to remind us that there is a tremendous, I mean, the level of beautiful things that exist in life consistently in every single moment far outweighs all the negativity or negative things. But it seems to be that we're only ever hearing about the negative things and not so much the positive. So that's great.
Get excited. Are you excited? I'm excited. I'm excited to see what's going to happen next, right? I'm excited.
This is a beautiful opportunity. And I don't know that people are going to understand that, to say that this is a beautiful opportunity. As difficult as this is for all of us and what we're going through, you can't worry about it. There's beautiful things that are going to come out of this. We're going to wind up actually creating something that far more resonates with humanity than what's ever existed in the past 3,000 years as a result of what's happening right now. So that's the reason why I can look at this like what you're saying. Aren't you excited right now? Yeah, I'm thrilled in the sense that we're going to be so much stronger as a result of what takes place with what we create afterwards.